Hello everyone, Tymerover here and welcome. Today we are going to start a new series for a game called Surviving Mars, which was just released yesterday. Surviving Mars was developed by a company called Haimon Games, and their publisher is Paradox Interactive, which Paradox has developed or published a number of games that I have played on this channel, including Stellaris, which we are running a series of right now, and City Skylines. Both games I really enjoy. And Surviving Mars is a somewhat similar. I mean, it is I guess you could call it a strategy-esque game, but it's more management than anything, and it's more city builder. To be honest, it's just you are colonizing Mars, and you're overseeing that colonization. And so you have to sort of manage all the resources, and because it's dealing with like colonizing another planet and space and spaceships, it hooked me in right away because I am a huge space freak. I love games that deal with the space-esque kind of thing, sci-fi-esque. So I jumped into it. I got it yesterday and I played through a little bit, sort of just to familiarize myself with the happenings and so on and so forth, and all the controls and the general premise, and essentially played the easy mode start, just to sort of get my bearings, because I knew I was going to be doing a let's play for it. I wanted to get myself a little bit more than what I would if I did just a blind play. But regardless, we are going to go ahead and start a new game here. There is a quick start button. The easy start button will put you in sort of with the easiest settings and get you playing right away. We're going to avoid that though, and we're just going to sort of set up our own customizable game and pick the different settings that we want to play with. So with the difficulty here, you have a couple of different options to sort of fine tune your difficulty and how easy or hard you make it. And at the top of the screen, there is a difficulty bonus. This is sort of just a notification of how difficult it's going to be. Right now, we're at a difficulty bonus of 20%, which is not very high. It essentially means it's really easy, and that's what the International Mars mission sponsor is. It's sort of like the easy beginner sponsor or mode, I guess. Now, to tweak that difficulty, we're going to change a couple things. So your first mode of changing your difficulty is your mission sponsor. So this is like I said, the patron country or organization standing behind the Mars mission, and so on and so forth. So if we click on that, we have a couple different options to choose from for a sponsor, and each one in descending order from top to bottom is easy to hard. So we got the International Mars Mission, USA, Blue Sun Corporation, China, India, Europe, Space Y, which I assume is sort of a play on, supposed to be SpaceX, the private corporation, the Church of the New Ark, Russia, and we can just do a random, playthrough. But we're not going to do that. Out of the options, so each sponsor gives you different sort of starting research, different starting funds, rare metal price, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but essentially you can get rare metals on Mars, and I believe that means how much you're going to get when you send it back to Earth. And you get different starting applicants as far as how many people from Earth want to join your colony eventually, or the pool of people that you can choose from. Now, the starting applicants, that can be increased, so that's not a finite number. You can have a ton more people in your colony eventually. So then, yes, so Blue Sun Corporation, China, each one have different starting funds, different starting research, metal price, and starting applicants. And then you also get sort of a bonus to picking that corporation. For example, the International Mars Mission has a number of different bonuses. You get a larger rocket payload, so you can bring more stuff with you. You can have your colonists never get Earthsick, which I didn't experience Earthsick in my little playthrough, but I believe that means that the colonists will leave and want to go back to Earth. Now, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think that's what it is. Food supply, you sort of get 10 times more food for each passenger on your rocket. I think by default it's like one food per passenger. So that's pretty huge and pretty nice. Rockets synthesize fuel, so there you do send your rockets back to Earth. You reuse your rockets, and to do that, you need to refuel them on Mars. And by default, all the other sponsors will have to build a or bring a fuel refinery with them to start converting water into sort of hydrogen fuel, so breaking apart the water into hydrogen fuel. And the International Mars mission, though, they design their rockets special. The rockets themselves will refuel themselves without the need of any other building. Slowly, but in terms of efficiency, at least from the get-go, it's pretty nice. As well as that's it. So that's the International Mars mission. Like I said, if you hit the start or the easy start, it's going to put you in as the International Mars mission. And it's a pretty easy lax start. It really is forgiving to new players and just to get your bearings set. So I would definitely recommend, at least for your first sort of like nudge into the gate, not nudge in the gate, nudge out of the gate, go with an International Mars mission because of the amount of money and the rockets really can save your butt sometimes when you're like, in need of resources and you just don't have them and not producing them and your colony's in bad shape. One timely rocket will be very nice in the long run. So then going down the rows here, there's different benefits as well. So the USA, same large payload and periodic funding. Blue Sun Corporation, we can apparently buy applicants with funding, which is interesting. Additional rockets are significantly cheaper. Probes can discover deep rare metals. And we'll talk about probes in a little bit. Deep metal extraction, which is a bonus tech that we can start with. We can always research these techs, the bonus techs, but we just start with them when they appear in the sponsor list here. I think for this playthrough, we are going to go with probably Europe. You get 5 extra starting technologies, which will be nice because it's 5 extra techs that we don't have to research. We still have to research them, but we don't have to wait for them to appear. And we'll see what that means when we get in there. And we have some avenue to gain additional funding from our starting bit and the built-in techs that give money. We'll gain money each time we research a breakthrough tech, which are pretty interesting when they come up. But yeah, I think we're going to go with Europe. So just by doing that, we've increased our difficulty. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult, 130%. Now, again, we can tweak it with the second mode here, Commander Profile. So this, again, gives us a different ability to tweak our starting group here. So, but I think I'm going to go with the Rocket Scientist because the CO2 jet propulsion, we'll get that, which allows us to, unlock shuttle hubs and long-range transportation right away, which helps deliver resources from your colonies to other things. There's something to be said about some of the other ones. I was thinking about the Astrogeologist. Start with rare metal deposits, which is pretty good. Deep scanning allows the scanning of sectors for deep deposits, but unfortunately, it's not great. Well, I don't want to say it's not great. I mean, it's okay to have all that to start with, but unless you have a tech, you can't really make use of the deep scanning deposits. So we might be able to show the deep deposits right away, but we're not going to be able to harvest them or make use of them until we get a tech that allows us to do that. But having the rare metal deposits revealed right away is pretty nice because we can exploit those deposits right off the bat, and it might help with funding us as well. So there's something to be said about that. Extractor Production increased by 10%, which is, again, pretty nice. Some other good ones to start with. The Futurist is nice because breakthrough techs are awesome and they research quicker, as well as you get the autonomous sensor, which will increase your sensoring around your area. And you don't have to worry about power or maintenance on that, which is, again, pretty nice. Politician gives you more money. Psychologists will help with sanity, which I don't really know too much about that. I had one colonist in my playthrough, get sanity pop-ups, but it wasn't that much of an issue I found. But again, I didn't play too long, so that might come in handy down the line. Doctor, more comfort. Minimum comfort required for birth lowered by 15. So your people do have birth or do give birth, and their comfort is a direct is related directly to that. So if your people are comfortable, they'll have babies. So that doctor will help with that. Hydro engineer, pretty good. Start with a water deposit. Start with a water deposit revealed. Okay, so it's not all water deposits. That's interesting. I thought it was all water deposits, but you just start with one water deposit revealed. Domes consume less water, and water reclamation is available. So that's interesting. A little bit less so than I thought it was. I thought all water deposits were revealed, but just one. And you don't really know what level, like what quality it would be too. So that's interesting. So then there's the oligarch. Fuel production increased. Arcology, which is a residential building, and it's a spire, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Inventor, drones are gradually optimized to work and construct faster until Sol 100. So Sol 100 would be the end of that benefit. But you do start with autonomous hubs. Drone hubs no longer require power or maintenance. And that's pretty good. Anything that sort of takes away the maintenance and power of objects is pretty good. But I think, you know, let me jump back here real quick. So Europe gives us that. The Blue Sun Corporation had something to do with rare metals. Probes can discover deep rare metal deposits. Okay, but what was the... So they start with deep metal extraction. So that's really good. So with the Blue Sun Corporation, we could start deep metal extractions right off the bat, because with Astrogeologist, we get the deep scanning tech right away. That would be interesting of a start. But no, I think I'm going to stay with Europe just because of the, you know, quicker research. You get more funding, though, with Blue Sun Corporation. So it's a little bit easier. And rare metals in general give you better price. But no, I think the Europe start is going to get things started a little bit better, as well as the research. I just like getting through more research quicker. But we are, I think, going to go with Astrogeologist to start with, because getting that extra 10% extractor production is going to be nice. We'll have all the rare metal deposits revealed on our map, or again, a rare metal deposit revealed, so we don't know where that's going to come from. But we'll be able to scan everything right off the bat for all deep deposits, which is going to be really nice. We won't be able to do anything with that right away until we get more research, but hopefully it comes up sooner rather than later. We are going to go with the colony, or colony logo doesn't really matter. I like the one small step one, the little spaceman helmet. I think that's going to be good. Mystery. So again, this is another way you can tweak your difficulty. I'm not sure which one I was in my playthrough, my yesterday playthrough, because I randomized it. And I think that's what we're going to do now. Again, each one increases the difficulty, so that is something to think about. We're going to randomize it. Hopefully, I'm hoping we get an easier one, but we'll see what happens. So we're going to go ahead and hit next. And this time we have our starting loadout for our rocket. So here's our rocket. It's going to be sent to Mars with the following items in its inventory. And I kind of want to reduce the amount of orbital probes, but because of our starting bonuses, I think we're going to bring those orbital probes, and we'll be just fine with that. Moisture vaporator, I think we're going to have to bring. The fuel refinery, all other ones, if you're playing on the easy mode one, you're not going to start with a fuel refinery prefab because of the starting Mars sponsor that, you know, the rockets refuel themselves. So there's really no need for that right off the bat. But without this, we're going to need this, because without it, we won't be able to refuel right away. And we'll want to send that rocket back ASAP so we can get some more stuff. Now, we are starting with 2, but again, I think it's important to bring this right off the bat, because we don't even have the technology to build this, and who knows when it's going to come up. Moisture Evaporator. I'm tempted to leave this home. Because by not bringing it, it frees up some room to bring some additional stuff. And ideally, we're not going to really utilize that water right away. Because I could keep this here and bring some more polymers, machine parts, electronics, and so on and so forth. And I'm wondering, although not much, huh? Basically sacrifice 1 for just 1 of these, which I think they increase it. They're in increments of 5, yeah. Now, I think we're going to be all right. I'm not going to worry too much about, fixing this and stuff. We'll bring the moisture evaporator, because you never know. We may end up, like, scanning and not finding any water right away. Hopefully that's not the case, but just to be sure, we're going to want that to start accumulating our water for our colonists. So we're going to go next. And the last way to designate your difficulty is by picking a location. And so you have a lot of the planet that you can choose from. So like if you hold the right mouse button, you can move around the planet a little bit. And you can drag your landing spot all over the place. And you can see that, depending on where you're at, that difficulty bonus is increasing. So, and there are sort of designated locations, which I've not really dealt with. I just did random in my game, but supposedly these are like interesting or fairly simple areas that you want to, you can use. But let's just randomize it and see what we can do. On the right hand side, we can see sort of like a little bit of information here. We've got resources. So this location has a lot of metals and a lot of water. Not much concrete, unfortunately. And high threats, actually. And I kind of don't want that. So let's randomize it again. I'm sort of looking for an middle of the road location. Not too crazy on anything. Dust storms aren't too bad. Yeah, low metal though output there. Now I'm not sure if this takes into consideration deep deposits, or if this is just the first deposits. Randomize. I want sort of like. Come on, give me... Ooh, that's not bad. It's low difficulty-ish. Pretty good across the board. The threats are not that bad. The dust storms are the worst, and those aren't too bad. I had a good bit of dust storms in my game yesterday. Dust devils can be kind of troublesome, but hopefully they don't happen near your area. But I think we're going to start here. We're going to start at colony site. No name, but... some colony site. We have good resources, minimal threats, difficulty bonus 205, which isn't too bad. And we'll go with that. So ideally, you can play on this if you enter custom and enter these coordinates, but you'll get the same map, but you may get different resources. I think the resources are what are randomized, but I can't say that for sure because I've not tried it. But from what I can tell, or from what I've read and heard, I think that's about what it is. So we're going to go ahead and just hit start. And just get our colony situated right off the bat before we put a cut in here, as for a setup episode here. But yeah, we'll go with that. So we'll get situated. We'll get our first initial colony built, or our rocket landed, and get our research situated and take a look at what our research is and so on and so forth. So welcome to Mars, Commander. Everyone at Mission Control is impatient to see the rocket touching down and unloading its precious cargo. Our remotely controlled eyes and hands on the red planet, the drones and rovers. Our goal is to secure a foothold for humanity by building the first Martian dome. This daunting endeavor will allow the brave brave pioneers, the founders, to settle on Mars and prove that the colony is sustainable. But until then, we have to make sure the colony has enough construction resources, water, oxygen, and power. So that's going to be our primary initial goal here, is to get water, oxygen, and power all flowing before we send our colonists here. So I'm going to go ahead and pause it with the space bar right off the bat, and just take a look here at what our starting location is. This is interesting. So by default, you get one starting location scanned and ready to go for you. And it looks like it's put us up at the top here, which is interesting. So there is some benefit to... I just noticed, like, this looks very similar to my game yesterday. And I can't imagine that I randomized the exact same map. I think that would be hilarious. I'm gonna have to look back at my playthrough or my game and see if that actually happened, because this map looks very much like my map from last night's game. That's funny. Which, if it is, I can't imagine it is though. I don't think we want to start over here. So there is benefit. I did start on an elevated platform in my other game, and it's nice because it boosts your power generation from like windmills, but it also is kind of limiting because the only way to get down to this area here, or over here for that matter, if you start over here or vice versa, is by building tunnels. And tunnels are pretty resource intensive early game, so that's interesting. But well, it may, yeah, I don't think it's exactly the same, but it's sort of a similar layout because of I did have sort of a platform over on this side, a low end over here, and sort of a little offshoot area up in this left corner. But I'm gonna have to check it again just to take a look. But I don't think it's exactly the same. I don't think I randomized the exact same map. That would be hilarious in my opinion. All right, so we're gonna look at a location here. So like I said, we start with one sector already scanned, and I mean this would be a fine-ish location to go, but if you'll notice, we have no water in our starting location, and unfortunately, like if you hover over one of these other sectors, it gives you a high chance. Doesn't mean it has these resources, it just has a high chance of having these resources when you scan them. I don't see any high chance of water in the locations right near us. Not to say that they won't have it, it's just not there. Now there's a high chance of water in this sector up in the very corner here, but it only has a buildable area of 44%, and I don't really want to do that. What I might do is just use my orbital probes to look in the general area, and look at that. So that's our benefit of, I think, the Astrogeologist. We have now started with a rare minerals, or not, yeah, rare minerals deposit, rare metal deposit right there. So it might be worth like looking at that to see if it has anything of use. But it doesn't show that it does, which kind of sucks. But this one does. This one has a high chance of water, concrete, and metals with a buildable area of 87%. We might try to use one of our orbital probes to scan this, and that's what the orbital probes are there for. You can always, once you land, you can start queuing up a scanning area. I will scan slowly, but the orbital probes will do it instantly, and you can do it before you land. Because, you know, we brought these probes with us, might as well use them. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw one down here. And if we have a buildable area with water concrete, we might go with that spot. Because it would be near that rare metals deposit. The other option is to check up on the top hill, because again, it is nice that the oh wow, I don't see any water up here. Has a high chance that this sector contains polymers, concrete, metals. Polymers? I didn't even realize polymers could be a resource you could find. That's interesting. I don't see any high chance of water. Now it could be polymers are the rare metals, so that could be what that is. Because I think rare metals are used to make polymers, perhaps. No, polymers are created with water and yeah, with water, I believe. Yeah, because I want water, let's go ahead and use it here. No water. This could be pretty bad, actually. All right, so we got no water there. I'm starting to think we made the right decision on bringing that one thing. You know what? Let's try this. Metals, concrete, and maybe we'll get lucky and there'll be water there. No. Sadly, no. So that leaves us with one orbital probe left. And I'm a little bit leery. Buildable area of 100%. I'm going to roll the dice. We're going to take this slot if possible. Now, another thing to consider, which we'll do it after I scan it, but let's see. Oh, sorry. Doop. Boom. All right, well, that's actually a pretty good location, even though it doesn't have water in it, which kind of sucks. We may have to just deal with that. Man, I'm very glad we brought the reclaimer. But let's take a look at the actual resources, because if they're low quality, we're going to want to probably look elsewhere. But let's start over here. So if we look at this, this is a low grade mineral deposit, which means you're still going to be able to mine all this stuff. It's just going to be slower. You're not going to get as much for your production as if it was something high grade. Average grade's pretty good with concrete. We do have a anomaly there that we can research. We won't be able to get to this right away. If we choose, either of these locations, we're not going to be able to get to right away because this one's elevated over here. So we're going to be shut off from this area, and vice versa, depending on which sector we're going to be in. So if we look at this one, very high metal output. Low grade concrete, but we also have a very high concrete deposit over here, which is pretty good. And we got a breakthrough research right there. So that's pretty good, I have to say. I'm liking this location right there. Do we have any surrounding areas that could potentially have water? So right below us would be water. So this is a pretty good location. We'll have to see what this gives us. Average, high, low, and again average. I don't know. I'm very tempted to try the elevated platform here, even though there's a breakthrough right there for us, and the potential for water. These can give us water. I mean, there is a possibility that we can find water nearby once we set down and start scanning. And if I settle here, I'm banking on that. Like, if we don't find water nearby, we may just restart eventually. But let's go ahead and just roll the dice and try this area, because we got some decent metal here. We even have good surface metal that we can start getting right away. Down here, yeah, we don't have as much. We only have one pile, so that's kind of bad. And these are just concrete, which we don't really need. So what are these? Are these new technologies? Yeah, no breakthrough, unfortunately, there. But, yeah, I think this is going to be where we're going to start. So I'm going to go ahead and start here. And I'm going to take my ship. So the area that you see around the ship there, that circular pentagon, it is, or is it hexagon? Hexagon. It is where the drones can go from the ship. So your ship does have a drone with, come with a drone. And that is going to be the area with which it can be serviced. So that's good. So we're going to want to start it sort of like right here. Eventually we're going to want to put a dome, probably like right around this area here. I don't really want to cover up this resource, but we may have to. I mean, it's a low grade resource, so it's not that bad. But I am going to want to sort of try to place things around. I think maybe what we'll do is I'll put it maybe like right here for now. Yes, I like that. So we've gone ahead and landed. And we can see our shuttle here sort of descending. I'm going to go ahead and just let it go in normal speed here. We do have a couple of notifications here. We've scanned that. Got some new anomalies. We don't have the research. I'm going to wait on that. We are going to start our exploration and our sector scans. So I want 100% here. I'm going to queue this one to be the next one. And then there, and then why not right there. So that's going to be our area that we're going to start scanning. It's going to take a little bit of time. We can speed that up by building sensor towers, but we're going to hold off on that for right now. All right, so that's done. So let's cancel that. And now we have no active research, but because we started with Europe, we do have additional 5 research available that we can start researching. All the other ones would only have this first row available to you. And every time, the way it works, every time you research one of these in your categories here, another one opens up that you can start researching. And it is random. So like when I started yesterday, it wasn't this group of research texts. So it is random what you end up with. Fuel compression, rocket cargo space increased by 10,000. That's pretty good. What do we want to start with though? Drone hubs are constructed with 2 additional drones, and a maximum number of drones is increased by... That's pretty good, having the drone hubs. And I'm not sure if you have to actually construct it or if a drone hub that you bring with you will also gain those 2 drones. I would imagine that they will gain 2 drones if you brought a prefab. Subsurface heating, I don't think we really need right now, just because I don't think the cold's going to be too much of an issue for us on this map, and it's not going to be an issue until we actually have people. Systematic training, scientists and botanists have time. Again, not super important. I'm not a big fan of what we got here. Now, there's something to be said about the hygroscopic vaporators, because we don't have water right now, so we're going to rely on the moisture vaporator for our water, and that's going to increase the production. So we might start with this. Let's take a look at the other road that's available to us. Magnetic filtering, Moxie upgrade, oxygen production increased by 50%. Again, pretty good. We're going to need some oxygen for our people. Low G hydrosynthesis, polymer factory, fuel refinery, all pretty good. We do have a fuel refinery prefab, so we don't, that's not a huge thing, and we don't even have people yet to start polymer factories. So I think we can hold off on that for right now. The RC transport harvest resources, that's okay, but I think we're just going to build or buy that soon with our second rocket. So, oh, I guess I thought that was actually to make one here, but no, that's just harvest. That just improves with the RC transport, so that's okay. Wind turbine upgrade, power production increased by 33%. Again, really good. We might actually start with this because we're gonna use turbines eventually, and getting that extra boost. They're already gonna be boosted from being on higher ground, but I think it'll be good to get that as well. And more engineering research. You know what? I'm going to start with the hygroscopic vapors because we're going to need that until we can find some additional water. We might switch it out if we find water. Next, I'm going to go with the oxygen production. I think that's going to be useful. And then the low G turbine. And I'm just going to queue up something here. I mean, none of this is super relevant right now, but we'll deal with it. All right, so that takes care of our science queue. Now, there is something to be said. We can outsource for additional science, but it's going to cost us some money. So we can spend 200 money to increase our science by 1,000 per soul for 5 souls, or spend pretty much half of what we currently have to increase it by 10,000. We're not going to do that because we kind of need this money for right now, but that is something we're going to look at later on if we are making enough money. So that is it. Let's go ahead and get this thing landed and just set up our power. Although we have gone on quite a long time. We may just put a cut in here and focus on the general setup afterwards. But let's go ahead and we'll land. And we can see all our little drones come out here. This is our little RC Explorer. We're going to send him on a exploration mission. And here come the little drones. They're going to do all the heavy lifting for us in this colony. So we're going to go ahead and put a cut in the video here. So thanks everyone for watching. I hope you're going to enjoy this series. If you do, if you want to see more, please let me know by hitting that like button. And if you want to see more content, please subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, we'll see you next time, folks. Bye bye.